talking to two. I'm talking to TO, to TWO groups at this moment. I'm talking to people like me, simple people, common folk. Common folk, simple people with simple notions. So, if you're simple and have simple notions and simple ideas, I'm speaking to you. Because that's what I am. However, I do have an interest in because we're trying to break down the logos and the mythos. We're trying to break down the logic, the word, and the mythos, the myth. And it's very important the way that, again, I'm talking to two audiences, so if you don't understand certain words, like if you don't understand a certain academic or scholastic or philosophical word that I'm talking about, just hold on, because I'll get to the story. I'll get to the common notion. I'm trying to speak both in the simplest, plain, common notion and marrying that with the, dare I say, it's very daring and very dangerous that I say so, considering my status as seen, but not my position. The mythos, the common notion, the everyday woman, the everyday man, the natural woman. The common notion of the natural woman, untaught. The common simple notion of truth, without philosophy, without logic, without the histories, without teaching. The philosophy of Ruth and Ruth's mother-in-law. The glimmer of truth from the histories of women's that stretches back into that dark fucking cave. That's what we're talking about. Common notions. Ruth. Philosophia. Mary. Because there's Sophia, and there's that which is sophisticated, elegant, eloquent, sophist, elocution, sophistry, well spoken. Well spoken under what? Because, quote unquote, the sophists are abstractly a branch of the history of philosophy, depending on which direction you look at it from. Wisdom, kind of. Feminine wisdom. The mythos. So, Sophia is the mythos. Simply Sophia. Philosophia. Philo, Sophia. The family of mothers. The evolution of mitochondrial DNA. That Russian doll, that unfolding onion, that turtle, all the way down and all the way up as the Alpha and the Omega, with the Alpha and the Omega. That sacred mother, that sacred daughter, that sacred grandmother, that sacred granddaughter, that sacred great-grandmother, that sacred great-granddaughter. That is the feminine Pentecost, the unspoken truth of the underground beneath the underground, the egg. Half of you, half of me, half of us, half of God is an egg born in a woman, already made within her mother. Indisputable. Here's the problem with religion and science. Both directions are fighting over the logos, that aspect of the word at the moment. The mythos, the myth. No. Here's what's happening. Philology is fighting with Sophia. The love of the logical logos, the logical word. I know it seems like a circular argument to call something like the logic of the logos, the logic of the word. But that's what's happening in the debate between science and religion, is that it's not a fight between the logos and the mythos. It's a fight between the love of the logic of the logos and Sophia alone. It's three against one. But yet that's the crux. That's the sign of the times. But the mythos, the true mythos, the true story, the moral of the word, and that is the great innovation of the English language's treatment of this guy. As it proceeds back toward the, King James Bible, back a little further, the Geneva Bible, back a little further to Erasmus, Rotterdam, etc. To Supreme Raphael, the painter, who may well have been Raphael, the archangel. Don't underestimate the importance of those papal apartments that exist to this day as prophetic testimony. Because we always think that prophets, right? A lot of people talk about Nostradamus with his blue turban, or rather, Nostradamus describing the Antichrist as the one with the blue turban. Well, what's that mean anyway? So what did Nostradamus do? He wrote in all these little symbol pictures, hieroglyphs. And it's all like, but really it's just like, no, blam, blam, blam. Study this shit. Study the symbols. Study the etymologies. This is how stupid all of the world is, really. That there's, in writing, there's no account for the Mary, M-E-R-I, beloved of Egypt, being the, not a, the etymological root of Mary, Mother of God, and her mother, Mother Mary, and her daughter, whether it was her Christosian twin daughter, whether it was her daughter-in-law, whether it was her adopted daughter, Mary Magdalene, Mary. And when we get married, right? If a man and a woman get married, we become wed with Mary. Right? And yet the nuns are the brides of Christ. The nuns are the brides of Christ. But the brides of men get married. Isn't that interesting? The celibate wives wed Christ, and the copulent wives wed. And their wedding is a marriage in the age of Mary. Mary, M-E-R-I, Egypt, beloved of God, Mary, from eternity, pure God, if you know, in Christology, from eternity, if you're God, right? Imagine yourself, oh, dare we? We can't imagine our, no. When they say we are made in the image of God, what, this? This is the image of God? Really? Come on! What's the image of God? The imagination. Man, my life is so ugly, but my imagination shines like a fucking beacon! Right? Yours too. So I don't mean nothing special about me. I'm just trying to relate to you. Right? We try and we do. We succeed in relating to each other. Interrelating even to other animals. Right? Nothing saves like we save. People always talk about how much we kill. Right? No. Nothing kills like the world out there. Nothing saves like the world in here that we share and push out there. And that is the fucking truth. Even beyond me. Even beyond my crudity. Even beyond my disgusting crudity. Even beyond my perversion. That is the truth, right? Nothing touches out there from in here. The in-heres that we share. The in-heres that we share. Nothing touches the cosmos as we know it. We can speculate, and I invite that, about UFOs, about archangels, about interdimensional beings, about super-dimensional beings, about hyper-dimensional beings. We can speculate about Descartes. We can speculate about Pascal and Eisenstein. We can, and well, we should. But what do we share? Now, this isn't my invention, but you know, I'd like to come up with one. A prayer light. How am I going to do this? Give me a second. Life is in the blood. Thou shalt not kill. What is the forbidden fruit? Who brings up the forbidden fruit? God says don't eat it, and that's it. One and done. A one-off. Be like, yo, forbidden fruit? No. Yo, forbidden fruit? No. That's the story. That's the lesson. That's the message. Okay. Well, did Adam and Eve understand what that forbidden fruit was? Yes! Because the Garden of Eden actually doesn't happen until the Garden of Eden is where we are going to. It actually never existed. It only existed as a dream in the mind of God. The Garden of Eden has only ever existed as a dream in the mind of God. The Garden of Eden is God. The Garden of Eden is the God of Alpha. Alpha's God. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the A and the Z. I am the A and the Z. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the first and the last letter of the alphabet, of the word that makes up words. Words, the logos, the logic, the perfect mathematics, the perfect geometry. The word, the mythos, the story, the perfect story. And that's the crux of the situation today. As perfect, rational trigonometric, and universal hyperbolic geometry, so far as I can understand today. So far as those geometrical, proportional, rational in the sense of ratios, mathematics, is that relates to the logos in the history of philosophy. So too, the perfection of morality. What we know is right in our heart that we can't give a word to. And that's what this project endeavors. Building a bridge between the perfect story that words build, the perfection of the mythos, to the Western, because the Western idea of the progression of the word, and once again, that's the innovation of the English translation of John's logos, which, if you study biblical history, there's a strong line of, I don't want to call it theology or philosophy. I want to call it the historical philosophy of theology as understood by the Ivy Leagues of the West of this day. I know that's a long title, but there's not a shorter way to describe it. The word is misunderstood because the word comes from the logos. And it's a strong argument within the history of not theology, but academic, scholastic, mostly academic. I don't want to call it etymology or philology, but accounting. Pseudo-mythological accounting of the logical word, but the mythological, or the supremacy of the mythos, because there are many forms of logic that are incorrect. Right? These algorithmic logical processes whose limits don't reach to infinity but break down within. There's a boundary of existence, and some algorithms are constrained between infinities such that, true as they are, they describe a limited infinity. Right? If this is eternity, which it's not, but if it were, so you have this little thing that works as an algorithm, but it's contained, and its limits are not infinite in any way. So there are even things that are finite outside of it, though it may appear as though its limits are infinite or reach the boundary that we reach, even when such is not the case. All right, let me try to get back now because I went off a ways. The perfect story, the vegan cross, the rusty nail. Right. I'm trying to develop symbols and sacraments of the vegan cross. The life is in the blood. No matter what color you are, when you shine a light through your fingers, and especially through your nails, what do you see? What kind of red is this? This is what blood looks like through light. In the entire spectrum of light, I'm only seeing, you're only seeing, we're only seeing the visible spectrums of light, white light, through flesh. I'm white. I'm not right. I'm not white. I'm mostly red. If you're black, if you're yellow, if you're red, if you're blue, if you're green, I don't give a fudge what color you are. Put a light behind your hand and shine it forth. What color are you? I'm sorry. This might take a moment. What color are you? What color are you? No matter what color you are out here, so. The way we think, Francis is on the rise thanks to the great works of the Franciscans. Francis is taking a lot of heat, yet at the same time, the Franciscans on the ground are doing fucking great works. I'm sorry for the exclamation. I might remind you that I am lost. And I know I'm lost. And many people who are lost go schizophrenic. And many people who are lost commit suicide. But I'm among the lost who commit themselves to the light, knowing that I will perish anyway. I will visit purgatory or hell or both. And I fight for heaven. If I am to ever reach heaven, I will reach heaven from behind purgatory and from hell. If I'm ever to reach heaven. And if not, if I never do, if that is not my lot, I will fight for heaven anyway, such that you may be there, such that you may get there. It's highfalutin, it's heavy words, it's philosophia, it's philomytho, Sophia, philomytho, Sophia, mythophilosophia. It is not sophistry. It is not the logos. It is not the contracted common notions of the contracted word. It is the word's bloom. The most delicate flowers bloom from the most delicate flowers bloom from the blackest soil.